Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wake Up Missoula. My name is Noelle McFoy.
And I'm Scott Ramp.
And that was Asaph Adonai on piano. Asaph, what song was that?
That is called Saturday Night is the Loneliest Night in the Week.
Oh, it's a good one. Nice, it's funky.
But good thing it's Wednesday. It is
Yes.
the middle of the week.
So that means it's raging.
The beginning of the week is over, and now we're looking forward to the end of the week.
Yes.
But of course, today is Wednesday, and I'm sure you guys might be going out to lunch at Cares Park, so you can expect, a 50% chance of scattered showers, but it's going to be mostly sunny. But this is just earlier today, so it's probably going to be kind of showery until about 1.
Yeah.
Or let's hope for 11.
Yes.
It'll stop at 11 and everything will be good. But right now it's mostly clear with a 59 degrees, and it's going to be a high of 83, and then things are going to start cooling off just a wee bit. And then through the weekend, you can expect to be mostly sunny on Friday, but just like a couple of days are going to be some scattered thunderstorms and some showers.
Yep, but we need it. Everyone knows that we need it. And I've got some fire updates. I'll let you guys know about this. So in Glacier yesterday, there was a fire. And so what I've pulled up a couple news sites. And so what it says is that it grew from a 2-acre burn to a 1,000-acre burn in 5 hours in just Tuesday evening. And so they had to evacuate a couple places. They had to close going to the Sun Road and St. Mary's. And so the thing that I have up now just kind of gives like a general update of last night. And so yeah, like I said, a lot of people had to be evacuated. And the one that they posted this morning is that no injuries were reported. One garage was damaged. A portion of Highway 12 was closed to traffic. Going to Sun Rose was closed from Logan Pass to the St. Mary's Peak entrance. It burned between 800 and 1,000 acres. Yeah, and so as far as I can see, it doesn't say anything about it being contained, but I'm sure that they've got it pretty well underway. And thankfully, we haven't had too bad of a fire season so far. Yeah, and then I also have the active fire map up, so you guys will take a look at this. This is kind of all the fires that are going on in our region. And so it's just mostly over here, over in Idaho and Oregon and Washington.
Yep, northwestern United States.
Yep, and then there are a few in Nevada, a few in California, and if you look down into Alaska.
Down.
Up, down, you know.
Down in the map, but up
down
in
the map,
reality.
Up in reality, yeah. But they don't have the one for the Glacier National Park, so it must not be that bad to where it needs to be on this active fire map.
Yeah, I'm really surprised about the lack of fires that Montana's been having with this very dry season.
I am too.
This rain that's been happening sporadically, like maybe the rain that's been helping for sure.
I hope
like
so
every
too.
other 2 weeks, but who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost the end of July.
Yep,
And almost the beginning of August, and those are usually about the hottest times of the year.
Where it seemed to be a lot cooler for us, and the first month and a half was really hot.
Yeah.
It's interesting, quite the opposite, but I mean, regardless, I'm happy about it.
Yeah,
It was nice to walk out.
winter was ended 2 weeks earlier and started a little earlier too, so the weather is just kind of shifting.
Yeah, it's a little crazy, but it was nice and cool this morning. I was happy to walk out into it.
But we have brand new programming. We have some city council I have to talk about, and the highlight of the city council is where they're talking about activity, kind of like an activities area for multifamily buildings.
Cool.
So I'm going to get into what's happening new on MCAT tonight and tomorrow night, and that's going to be some League of Women Voters.
Awesome.
They have their monthly meeting. Then there's the Asia Montana Energy Summit number 2. It's going to be on tonight on MCAT channel 189. So check it out. Here's a little taste of what's happening tonight and tomorrow night on MCAT.
They happen at regular intervals. It's the nature of a commodity market. And oddly enough, I'm almost relieved this one happened because it gives us some breathing room. Now, no one's going to go out and invest in an enhanced oil recovery right now. The economics are not good. But this little breathing period we have, we can get out of this drill frac complete rat race. We can start stepping back, looking at technology, studying the thing, and when the prices come back, like they have the last 5 times it's happened to me, we'll be ready.
And I should say that the process by which a commissioner is confirmed in some ways is illustrative of what happened with Senate Bill 289. So I'm going to talk about that for a minute. When the governor, when you have a commissioner of political practices, they serve for a 6-year term. You probably all know that, and they're not subject to reappointment. A governor appoints the commissioner, and once appointed, the commissioner has the full authority of the office. So there is nothing that you do after confirmation that you can't do before confirmation by appointment.
Yep,
Nice.
and that's what you can expect happening tonight and tomorrow night on MCAT. But of course, I'm going to talk a little bit about social networking, and then I'm going to hand over the reins to Noelle to talk about what's happening today and
Yes,
tomorrow, besides
for your-
not just Karis Park, because that's what I know off the top of my head.
Yeah, middle of the week events.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, if you want to know more information, you can log on to our website, wakeupmissoula.wix.com/wakeupmissoula, and I'll cover the page a little more. There we go. And you can get in contact with us. You can look at all sorts of wonderful videos from past episodes, current episodes, summer camps, how-tos, past interviews. We haven't done too many interviews. You can learn all about each of us in this little About Us section. We have a gallery where we have some pictures of us.
That's the most awkward photo ever.
We have our music page where we link to our MCAT music, which is a YouTube channel, but we show the latest musicians here in town. And you can also finally contact us. All you gotta do is type a name, email, subject, message. You don't have to put in those little like emoji thingies where you have to type in 5763 and then with like a dash line in it. So you don't have to worry about that.
Nice,
But of course,
nice.
you can also go to our Facebook page. It's Wake Up Missoula. You can't miss it. You can also follow us on Twitter. But also, Missoula Community Access Television has their own Twitter page, which you can totally follow, which is awesome.
You can also like Missoula Community Access Television on Facebook, as well as you can check us out on MCAT.org to find out more information about us.
Cool.
MCAT.org has got all of the, everything that you need to know. They've got video on demand. You can live stream anything that you want to or watch previous programs. You can check us out and you can contact us and schedules, forms, anything that you need to know about us is all on MCAT. Yeah.
Yep.
But we're going to switch gears now, and I'm going to tell you guys what's going on for today. So up next, we've got Family Fun Time. Is going to be at Missoula Gymnastics starting at 10 a.m. And this is for an open gym for ages walking to 12 years. And it's just, obstacle courses, trampolines, foam pits, all the cool fun stuff that you can imagine at a gymnastics gym. And it's $5 for members and $8 for non-members. Out to lunch is at Karis Park. They've got over 20 food vendors, music, kids activities. It's between 11 and 2 on Wednesdays, so it's a perfect time for you to get out of your office and go down to Karis Park and eat some lunch. So the live music is by Aaron and the Project. Kids activity is by Child Bloom Guitar, and it is sponsored by Stockman Bank and Homeward Inc.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Stockman Bank, it doesn't even exist yet.
No?
They're doing a lot of community outreach stuff just
Oh.
before they get built, which is going to be just off of Broadway and Orange.
Cool. That's
almost
cool.
like right behind KECI.
Yeah.
They're going to take that whole half a block.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're going to set up a parking garage and everything.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Okay. So, that's good that they're doing that community outreach, though. That's smart on their part to get people, going to their bank and wanting them. Smart. Okay. Spectrum Discovery area. Their Discovery Bench is Bubbles, and the Brain Lab is Taste Test.
That's like the best thing ever because they have those giant rings and you can
I know, it's
cover
so
yourself in
fun.
a bubble.
Yeah. So
I'm in a bubble, help me.
starts at 11 today. And then Natural Grocers, they're having a lunchtime discussion. It's about stress, hormones, and belly fat. So you can learn how hormone imbalances can distort your midsection into a large belly and prevent weight loss even with diet and exercising. You can learn how hormone imbalances can affect your sleep cycles, carb cravings, and fat burning, and you can learn why counting calories doesn't work for belly fat. Very interesting. Yeah. So that one starts at 11:30 today. And then Big Sky, over at Big Sky High School, they've got a summer film. This is sponsored by the Missoula Public Library. They have free popcorn and a movie, starting at 1 p.m. And then, but if that's too far away for you, you can just head over to the library for a free matinee starting at 2 p.m. They show a classic film, and it's for free. Middle School Writers is at the Missoula Public Library starting at 3:30. That's 3:30 to 5 is for writing grades 6 through 9. And it's to just get some feedback, get good feedback, and eat some chocolate and hang out. There's Sharon in the Groove at the Top Hat Lounge starting at 4 p.m. This is their fish-themed happy hour, so they have live recorded audio show as well as trivia and all these sorts of, jam band fish stuff. Yeah, it starts at 4:30. And then the Roxy Theater, they are bringing back a film called The Age of Love, and it's a touching and funny look into the lives of seniors who just want to find love. And they're also introducing Missoula's first speed dating for seniors at 70 and up following the film. Yeah, so you could just do some speed dating if you want to. That sounds like a lot of fun. So get out there. Great Burn Brewing Company, they have got a pint night tonight. This is for the Ecology Project International. So from 5 to 8, 50 cents from each beer sold will go back to that nonprofit. The Sierra Club is hosting a class, a discussion. It's at the Missoula Public Library at 6 p.m. this evening, and it's called Learn to Survive in the Outdoors class. So it'll cover the basics of survival, including the 3 priorities: shelter, warmth, water, and signaling, and putting together a survival kit. This is for everyone this is something for everyone that utilizes the backcountry or really likes to go out and do that stuff. So it's very important, and it's good to know how to survive in the wilderness, since it is all around us, and yeah, it can be really scary if you don't really know what you're doing. So that starts at 6. And then Zootown Arts Community Center, they've got a Bob Ross night. So starting at 6 p.m. tonight, this is their Bob Ross night. So you can go with your Bob Ross wigs, and they'll drink some wine and give you all your materials, and you'll follow along to a Bob Ross video. Yeah, that sounds really fun. And then there are some origami peace cranes at the Missoula Public Library starting at 7 p.m. You can learn how to fold origami peace cranes, and they're going to fold them in remembrance of Hiroshima and Nagasaki anniversaries. Starts at 1 p.m. Oh, let's see. Yeah, 7 p.m. at the Missoula Public Library tonight. Yeah, so that's what's going on for Wednesday. As always, you can check out MissoulaEvents.net. You can check The Independent, the newspaper, any of those things. But we're going to switch gears over to Asaph segment now.
Well, this will be very, very short because I'm making another contrast here, and it would be impossible to do everything that I'm going to talk with these two performers. The first one is a man named Harry Lillis Crosby, known to the world as Bing Crosby, who was an American singer and an actor. Crosby's trademark, his warm baritone voice, which made him the best-selling recording artist of the 20th century with over 1 billion records in circulation. A multimedia star from 1934 to 54. He was a leader in record sales, radio rations, motion picture grosses, and Yank magazine recognized Crosby as the person who had done the most for American GI morale during World War II. And during his peak years around 1948, American Post declared him the most admired man alive, ahead of Jackie Robinson and Pope Pius number 12. So that's quite a compliment there.
Yeah.
And of course, I won't get into the bursts and things. I just wanted to just do a quick flyover here. And then in comparison, the other man we're talking about, which he made the song that I did at the beginning of this famous Saturday Night's the Loneliest Night of the Week. Of course, we're talking about the one and only Francis Albert Sinatra, known to the world as Frank Sinatra, the man who was once called Moonlight Sinatra, Old Blue Eyes, chairman of the board, the man who did it his way all his life. So anyway, Sinatra's career basically began during the swing era when he was still a boy, probably a teenager, with Harry James and Tommy Dorsey. And that's when he sang, of course, Saturday Night is the Loneliest Night in the Week. And he was an idol during the Bobby Soxer era. And his first album was an album called The Voice of Frank Sinatra in 1946. And his career stalled until the 1950s when it was reborn with his performance of Maggio in the movie From Here to Eternity. And of course, in his life, like Bing Crosby, the rest is history. And what's interesting about these two singers is they were always compared. They were friends in real life, but they were compared like in the Bugs Bunny cartoons. They had this rivalry going on between a good-looking Bing Crosby and a very thin Sinatra in the cartoons. So it was always fun to watch both of these men. And of course, I think Bing Crosby was more of a baritone romantic singer, whereas Sinatra was just skilled. This man is like, he was like King Midas, just whatever Sinatra did, it always worked. Whether it was a movie or a concert, singing. The same with both of these men. And we lost Crosby at the age of 74 and 77, and we lost Sinatra at the age of 82 and 98.
Wow.
So these were two contrasting singers that left a lot of music to the world to enjoy to this day. And on that note, I will end it.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Asaph. That was
Sure.
very
Asaph.
enlightening. But of course, there's way more information about Bing
Well,
Crosby.
yeah,
They've had an extensive life, and they lived hard and fast, and
And worked a lot.
worked
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. And I think
Yeah.
it showed in the singing. That's why he sang so well.
And then, so who's your favorite out of those two?
You know, that's just like saying what tastes better, apples or oranges. They're just totally different.
Yeah.
But I would go with Sinatra if I had to make a choice.
Yeah. And why is that?
Well, he's in a movie called Till the Clouds Roll By in 1946 singing Old Man River, and I think that's the best version of that song I've ever heard of anybody singing it. So
Cool.
I hope the audience will get to look that up, Till the Clouds Roll By, and see Sinatra singing that.
I'm sure they will, and the audience members that remember it, I'm sure. love
Yeah.
this. Yeah. Nice. Thanks for that flashback,
Sure.
Asaph.
Yep. And we'll be right back after some art from the ZACC.
Hello, we are back with me and more events. So, these are things that are going on for tomorrow, Thursday events. So, starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning is the Excel Function and Filters class at the Lifelong Learning Center. You can learn to create data and text filters for viewing information more efficiently. You can discover subtotals and min and max and logical functions and everything about Excel that you need to know you can find out during this class starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow. There is at the Daily Mansion, there is a kids free weekend at the Daily Mansion starting at 10 a.m. And so it's a kids free weekend July 23rd, 24th, 25th, all weekend long. Children 12 and under are welcome to tour the Daily Mansion for free. On Saturday, there will be self-guided tours with reenactors bringing 1927 back to life. Yeah, and you can step back in time and check out the Daily Mansion as it was 100 years ago. At the E3 Convergence Gallery, there's an In Touch with Watercolor class starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow, but it's not just about painting. It's about the paint itself. And so they'll give you a thorough understanding of watercolor paint itself and the process of using it. Because, there's so much more than actual just painting. It's the process, it's how it looks on the paper, it's how all the colors meld together. There's a lot that goes into it. And so they'll touch on color theory, color mixing, pigments, and qualities. But most of the day will be spent understanding and documenting your paint. Yeah, so $60 per student. Just go to E3 Convergence Gallery, go to their website, and I'm sure you'll be able to find a registration. Yeah.
That's a cool little funky place for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah. And then we have got chromatography and fruit fly fun at Spectrum Discovery area. Starting at 11 is chromatography, is their discovery bench, and then their brain lab is fruit fly fun. And then also from 12 to 2 there tomorrow, there's a grocery shopping activity taught by Big Sky High School students. So they're going to talk to you about the influence of media on nutrition, which I think is very important as well. And so that's at 11 tomorrow at Spectrum Discovery area. There is a kids table at the Missoula Public Library starting at noon, and this is what they've been doing all summer. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, you can drop in at the library. Kids under 18 can enjoy sandwiches, fruits, and snacks for free starting at noon. Yeah, so from noon to 1 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
Sweet.
Yeah, I know, that's awesome. And then there are read dogs, reading education assistance dogs. Those are at the Missoula Public Library on the Dragon Rug in the children's area. And this is for children that aren't very good at reading and need someone to read for or to. And they're sweet little doggies that'll sit there and let you read to them and pet them. I love dogs. It's so nice. And then Missoula Public Library's got a family summer movie starting at 2 p.m. It'll be in the large meeting room. And then there will be a downtown drop-in wine tasting at 5 p.m. at La Grata Bella. This is located underneath the old Post Pub. And its cost is $10. It's a minimum of 4 wines and a different theme each week. And then downtown tonight is at Karis Park. So this is like Wednesday afternoon, but in the evening from 5:30 to 8:30. This is all the vendors. They've got games, activities, bands. And so the music will be by the Cold Hard Cash Show. And the kids' activity will be by the National Wildlife Federation. It'll be sponsored by the Missoulian, Carl Tyler Volkswagen, and Treasure State Bank. There is a Good Food Store Cookbook Club. They're going to be talking about sweet cream and sugar cones. Starts at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow evening. Cost is $35. And so the Redbirds chef, Matt Cornett, is going to teach everyone what San Francisco's creamery, By Right Creamery, is all about. And so I guess By Right Creamery is very famous and is a legend, I guess. And so he's going to walk you guys through the master techniques for making homemade ice cream and then share tips for going beyond the basics. He's also going to be talking about By Right Creamery and why it's so great and talk to you guys about how they make their ice cream. And so they're going to be talking about the basics. They're going to be starting with vanilla. They're going to make a seasonal fruit sorbet, a pistachio ice cream, homemade waffle cones, and mint ice cream pie. So that sounds great. That sounds like you just could explode. He's vegan. And then I've got some music for tomorrow night. So Lucero is going to be at the Top Hat Lounge at 8. It's mixed country and folk with a little bit of punk, and there you have it. They're from Memphis. Tickets are $22 a day of, or $20 in advance.
And there you have it.
Yeah. Jurassic Park is at the Roxy Theater at 8 p.m., so they're showing that movie at 8 p.m. Check that out. There's been all this hub about, Jurassic Park just because the last movie finally came out.
It was really good.
Jurassic World. It was good.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
Did you like it?
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It rocked. I loved it.
Because I saw, they converted the original Jurassic Park to 3D. So what they did was they used the film and they used a conversion process.
Oh.
And film, they used 35 millimeter film, especially in those days. But converting 35 millimeter film to 3D looks amazing.
Really?
There's a couple scenes that look so good.
That's cool.
Because there's so much depth of field that they're missing, but it gives it a really solid look.
Yeah.
There's just a couple of shots that I really noticed in that movie that just looked fabulous.
That's cool. Sweet. I didn't see it in 3D.
Yeah, I just wanted to, that was like 5-6 years ago when they tried to like convert Jurassic Park and Star Wars Episode 1 in 3D.
Oh, yeah.
But then, of course, Star Wars Episode 2 and 3 just never really had 3D because apparently, I guess they didn't want to spend the money on conversion when they didn't make as much money for Episode 1 in the theaters.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. It's smart. Yeah. Okay, and then we're going back to events. So, Dead Hipster. Oh, wait, no. There's an open mic at the Eagles at 8:30 and at the Broadway at 9. Dead Hipster is at the Badlands at 9 p.m. There's karaoke at the Dark Horse at 9. Jamaican Queens are at the Palace at 9:30, along with Fallow and Yeezazi. That's cool. Yeah. It's $7 for that show. And then DJ Hollick is at Monk's. And it looks like that is the end of my events. So as always, you can check out MissoulaEvents.net. You can check out the Independent, the university's website, or the newspaper. Or you can just look online, you know, type in events. There's always lots of great resources to find out what's going on in Missoula. Or you can watch our show every day. But we're switching gears now over to City Council.
Yes, we have some intense. Oh wow, this mic's not even on.
Oh wow.
We have intense City Council. I must have just not turned that on. But of course, it is City Council time.
Yes.
As always, we talk about what's happening in terms of local government, and today we want to highlight more towards, I guess they're talking about on November 4th, 2009, the city repealed Title 19 Missoula City Zoning Ordinance and adopted Title 20. They revised and updated City Zoning Ordinance is intended to make the ordinance easier to read and interpret. It also included a mandate to maintain and update the ordinance on a regular basis. This is their words, by the way. And of course, these are the top 10 things that they wanted to address and add on and be part of this Title 20 ordinance that they want to update and change. So, okay, number 1, address preschool and solar energy conversion systems as uses. Clarify application of enterprise commercial development and the standards that apply. Clarify, number 3, clarify where the bed and breakfast and minor utilities uses may occur. Number 4, clarify how CLBs are currently addressed. Number 5, limit the size of ADUs in specific accessory structures. So from what I heard last time when they were talking about the ADUs, they don't want it to exceed 4,500 square feet for an ADU, unless they're grandfathered in. And of course, they want to clarify standards for vehicle parking as well as drive-through lanes. Joel was talking to me about this, is that like properties, so like if he was developing his lands and it requires 2 parking spots, but this is going to clarify where you only need a minimum of 1 parking spots for your home residence.
Okay.
I think that's to help encourage people to not have too many parking spots to get too many cars.
Yeah.
And of course, clarify standard. Okay, let's say clarify alternative compliance for landscaping and administrative adjustments for parcel areas, which is going to be the big thing that I'm talking about today. And then of course, number 8 is clarify timing limitations pertaining to certain signs. And then number 9, clarifying when DRBs is required for non-conforming residential structures. And finally, number 10, create consistency in setback requirements.
Nice.
And of course, I want to start with Adam Hertz, who wants to amend one of the policies that are involved with landscaping, and this is what he had to say.
A few different comments, one from an architect, one from the Missoula Chamber of Commerce, and one from the Missoula Organization of Realtors, all stating concerns about the changes being proposed here. I won't reiterate their points, but I just encourage people to take to heart the comments of the folks that work on this stuff every day.
And your motion to amend is what, Mr. Hertz?
To strike the changes to 2065-100B.
And the net effect of that amendment is what?
To leave the language as is. Oh, sorry, so perhaps, is there no staff member to comment here on this?
Mr. Zavitz?
Okay, so then they go to the next guys. This is Tom Abbott, and he's from the Land Use and Planning, and he describes this a little more in regards to the Hertz proposal to the not changing of the language, and he's going to describe what the change of the language is.
When a person goes about proposing to build a multifamily development, there is an activity area required to be built along with the development. There are several ways to achieve an activity area with a multifamily development. One of them is with an outdoor activity space. There are others, like being adjacent to a park trail, building a garden space. And so in our landscaping code, which is where this falls, there is alternative compliance to those options. And one of those, and so that would be to have a landscape architect sign off on a design that might not meet the code to the letter. And so therefore they wouldn't have to necessarily meet any one of those that I mentioned, and I think there might be another one as well.
Okay, so the next part I want to talk about is, of course, they had some talk amongst the council members, and Marilyn Mahler had this to say about the amendment, about how difficult it can be for landscape architects to make certain activity areas, and I'll let her say what she said.
There's, you know, sometimes you have to shoehorn in a bunch of landscape requirements on a weird parcel of land, and if we're trying to encourage infill and affordable housing, you can't always do it the ideal way. And I totally understand that, and I want people to be able to do these funky little projects or pretty good projects, but I don't want them, I think that the idea of just coming in and saying, well, I have a landscape architect to sign off on this so then it doesn't have to get reviewed anymore is not ideal. So if my question for staff is, if we pass it the way it came out of committee, will people still have an opportunity to apply for a variance for the for this multi-family play area landscape requirement?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so they go back and forth on this, but of course, the next thing, Abbott, I mean, he went on to say that if a landscape architect cannot build an activities area for these multifamily housing, then they can make exceptions. Like if there's a park nearby or a trail, you know, like what they were saying is like a lot of multi-housing, like say they build it next to a park, so they kind of take care of their activity stuff. So what's the point of having a little activities area for the multifamily area when there's a park like right there?
Yeah, that prime example of this is where I live. There, right in front of me, has been like major construction going on for like over a year, and it's a multi-family home complex. Yes. And so there's a park right next door to it, so I guess they don't have to like really think about having an activity area because there's a park right next door. But I am salty.
This Title 20 is to encourage activity areas to these multifamily homes. Yeah. But of course, a lot of these multifamily homes are for low-income households, and by adding an activities area, you know, like it's another landscape architect, and it's another job, it's another month of work. So you're paying them. Exactly. You know, like a landscape architect makes anywhere between $40,000 to $60,000 a year. Mm-hmm. So a month of work is usually about $5,000 to $10,000, even if it doesn't take so long. So it can run expensive, and then if there's multi-housing unit, people buy the area, so they're also paying for the landscaped area of activities. So if they take that out, they can also save money on that as well. But it's all about like moving on.
Save money with
moving on to the next thing. Jason Weiner, he has, he wants to add on types of homes like the multifamily to this new ordinance for the sake of building properties and activity areas. This is Jason Weiner, what he had to say.
There's essentially three things that are going on. One is that the exemption does not apply to the multi-dwelling activity areas, and so I think the intent of the amendment is to change that. The other two things that are going on is that the exemption doesn't apply to screening, and so that means essentially your responsibility when you do multifamily for providing like a visual barrier between you and adjacent properties when they're less intensive. And then the other is that when the landscape architect is used to deviate from the chapter, that they have to enumerate the ways in which they do that. So I'd ask that we limit the discussion to the activity area for multi-dwelling development. I don't know if you accept that as a friendly amendment.
All right, so he didn't want to completely change it, but he used the middle ground. He wanted to add a little bit of middle ground for Jason Hertz's thing. But of course, it's like when you're building something, if you're not required to build something, you don't think about building something, therefore you don't build it. So like the activities area, so if it's like, like they don't think to make it. Yeah, and like if they put this in the title amendment things, like you have to have some kind of like activities area for something to, like encourage activities and play and stuff like that in these housing units, because they, people are giving up front and backyards for the sake of a cheaper housing, but at the same time, you know, they
It's
want
too
cheaper
bad.
housing. It's all about like money and how much people are willing to
It's
pay
just
for
a catch-22
basic
too.
amenities.
Yeah, very true.
And then, of course, this is Alex Taft. He wants to make sure that the people watching know what Title 20 is helping with. So this is, let's see, where am I? Okay, there I am.
You're right there.
Intent will be that that space, that activity space, along with the rest of the building and its environs, will be reviewed for design by staff. So it's really correcting an intent that has not come out through the use of Title 20. So it is appropriately in the maintenance. Second, we want multifamily housing, but we don't want it at any cost. When you decide to live in a smaller unit without a backyard or front yard, you are exchanging private space for public space. So you need some public space to fulfill those needs that one finds in the front yard and the backyard. We also need a modicum of open space where parks are few, and this change to Title 20, this maintenance change, is only being applied in those areas.
Right. So, I mean, just so you know that that was Alex Taft, council member.
Yep.
But this is Ed Childers, and Ed Childers had a little poked fun at some of the comments that were made. So this is what he had to say about, like, in terms of like activities and activity spaces.
I was thinking there might be some way to have flexible oversight of the landscape architects so there wouldn't be just a bam, their decision was final. Turns out there's a design review board, and I think the design review board is good for that.
Of course.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what, everyone?
Yeah, and then of course I'm going to leave the last two comments with Adam Hertz, and he makes a point about you know, timing and architect design, because he knows some architects, and you know, he's a realtor in his real life job, and he knows how the difficulties of what it is to be an architect, especially when you're building multi-family homes, and landscape architects is kind of like added on a little bit later. So this is what he had to say.
Developers often need to move quickly as they have projects in the pipeline, and those processes aren't always quick or easy or inexpensive. So they certainly, while they could get approved in the long run, they might just run people away from even being able to do those projects. Both of the comments we got from both the Chamber and the Missoula Organization of Realtors both noted that they believed this change went above and beyond a maintenance amendment into a substantive amendment. I agree. I hope that folks will consider the discussion we had in land use and planning when staff was asked to bring us, I guess, an example of when this has been abused. The example they brought, I don't think showed any abuse. I think we were all kind of somewhat confused about how that was supposed to be a bad example and how it could have been done better as a development. So I just encourage people to take to heart the comments of folks that work in this arena every day. And
Yep.
Cool.
Of course, the last comment he makes is basically making comparisons to the cost versus amenities, and this is Adam Hertz once again.
what you believe in and you believe in this design, I think at least we can be honest about the fact that affordable housing is not as important as people seem to say that it is, because it's, I mean, there's a middle ground. There's amenities and there's affordability, and I think, you know, we're moving towards more and more amenities, and I just want people to keep that in mind when you talk about affordable housing. Do you really mean it, or do you mean housing with amenities?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Thanks, Adam Hertz.
Yep. So that's what that concludes your city council for today. But of course, I wrote a little tagline. So in conclusion, the amendment that Adam Hertz wanted to leave the multifamily public space unchanged failed. But of course, which means the Title 20, all the amendments and all, not the amendments, but all the changes and all the updates to Title 20 did pass.
Awesome.
So the language for have a requirement for an activity space for a multifamily unit is in play. but of course, there are always the exceptions.
Yep.
And if you can't do something, you can't do something.
Yeah,
that's like the logic.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes, but of course, it'll add some amenities to people who don't have front and backyards, just like Alex Taft said. Let's see.
Nice.
I mentioned that. So motion 20, title 20, the whole changes and thing did pass, and I suggest you take a look at it through the city website at ci.missoula.mt.us. And of course, this is what's happening today in the future meetings. So Parks and Conservation is to pay, this is the top 3 things that I saw, is to pay the outfit who will be thinning the forests in the nearby areas. So I thought it was kind of funny because I read the background behind it, and they said that they went with the, they had 2 companies bidding for people who thin out the forest. One of them was more qualified according to the background, but the other one was cheaper.
So they went with the cheaper one.
Of course. You know, city money and all that stuff. It's your taxpayers at work, tax money at work, and they went with, and of course, they're doing an appointment of new employee, and then the Clark Fork River acquisition via the 2006 90,000 open space bond. They're going to be talking about a 75-acre parcel of land that they're going to convert to open space. So this is part of their open space bond.
That'd be awesome.
And then the public safety and health, the exotic animal wellness, basically protection of circus animals and thereafter. I know we talked about this a little bit later. There was a bunch of committee meetings that are constantly talking about this exotic animal thing.
Yeah.
So maybe in other towns they're not as protected, but in Missoula, what Missoula's trying to do is just trying to cover the basis of protecting these animals, whether or not the circus is being horrible to these animals or not. But I mean, you know, it's one-sided to another side. It's like, oh no, the circus is in captivity.
Yeah.
I mean, the animal is in captivity in the circus, and it's always traveling in trucks all around town. And then the circus says, like, they're spoiled, rotten.
Yeah.
And on one end they're spoiled, rotten, but what does it mean for an animal's happiness and stuff like that?
And what does it
but I don't
mean?
know. But that's an argument that we'll talk about more on Friday with the when I talk about public safety and health, because it's going to be an issue that they're going to be discussing and maybe get it on the consent agenda, which will be maybe in the future. But
I'll keep
right
all
now,
my opinions for Friday then.
So we'll get on that a little bit later, but of course
So
that does
to that
conclude our city council, and of course there's a bunch of stuff happening as well. As they're doing some talking about mountain water acquisition, and I suggest that you look at the city website, www.ci.missoula.mt.us. It's basically city.missoula.montana.us, and it's all like the short versions of it. The only thing that's long is Missoula. But of course, I do have one of my favorite segments, and it is time for a little bit of Hallmark or Bullmark. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, hit it, Asaph. Heather was just a normal girl with no idea that love is about to knock on her door when handsome and longtime friend Keith embarrasses himself by confessing his true love at her wedding day 5 years ago. Heather shut him down. Now nearly divorced and jobless, Heather is forced back to her hometown, where she runs into her old friend Keith, who has seemingly moved on, but everybody says he still holds a flame to her. Will she repeat the mistakes of the past, or will she jump on the chance at true love? And the movie's called Love Just in Time. Is this a Hallmark original movie, or is this complete Bullmark? So for those of you who don't know this game, and I read a synopsis from a Hallmark original movie, or do I? And you have to determine whether or not it's a Hallmark original movie or it's complete Bullmark. Not real, completely false, BS, but I like to call it Bullmark.
Bullmark.
As in terms of Hallmark, because there's 2 L's between H-A and Mark, and then B-U and Mark.
Yeah, I think that sounds great, Scott. I think that you should just stick with that.
It worked great, and I'm not going to change it now.
No, we've been doing this for like a year.
Let's start with you, Noelle.
Well, do
you want me to read it again? No.
This is like such a classic Hallmark movie that I'm going to call Bullmark.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Noelle.
You're going to go with Noelle? You've been going with Noelle.
Yeah.
No, you've been saying Bullmark the whole time. Okay, so it is complete Bullmark.
Yeah, it's such a classic movie. I was like, that just screams Hallmark all over it. I'm going to say it's false.
All right, are you guys ready?
Yeah, yep.
Here is the last one for our morning show. Nicholas Mayers is a hardworking lead designer for a firm in a big city. Not only is he good at his job, but he has a photographic memory. So he remembers everything, which makes him a force to be reckoned with. When a long-lost flame comes back in the form of a daughter, what?
Wait a minute!
He's never met before. He must set aside his time for his little girl, June, who is smarter than him, as his life is turned upside down, and now, with the biggest deal of his life on the line, can Nick learn to become the father June knows he can become? And it's called Remember June. Is this a Hallmark original movie, or is this completely made up by yours truly, Scott Raff?
Gosh.
I'll start with Asaph.
Okay, start with Asaph.
say this is real.
You say it's a real movie?
You're gonna say it's real?
I know, it's so ridiculous. I'm gonna say it's a real movie too. It's so ridiculous.
I guess sure.
Yes.
I can change your mind right now?
No, I don't.
No.
Alright, it is a completely bullmark movie. I completely made it up.
So crazy. It's so crazy. When a long lost flame comes back into his life in the form of a daughter. What? Wait a minute. What?
But don't you get it? An old long lost flame
Yeah, but when
comes
I
back
first-
in the
yeah.
form of his daughter.
But when I first heard that, I was like,
Like his wife died giving birth, and her soul went into a daughter or something. No,
oh yeah, I was like,
that sounds like a Lifetime movie.
That literally sounds like a Lifetime movie. I think I've talked about this movie before, but I think the worst movie I've ever seen was about this little girl who had a imaginary friend, and then she grew up.
Oh, I know that movie. Drop Dead Fred.
No, an imaginary friend came back.
Oh.
Came back to life. Came back into her life, and then turned into a real person, and then they banged.
Yeah, I don't think you can say that on television.
I could use.
You mean fell in love?
They fell in love.
They started a relationship because he didn't age. He was an adult when she was a kid.
Exactly. Isn't that the weirdest thing? And then she got older, and he came back into her life, and then they.
Yeah.
Just like that.
I still prefer Drop Dead Fred.
I've never seen it.
It's basically the same thing, except there's no romance between those two. He's just an annoying person, and she becomes a more confident, independent woman because of it. Well, her mom is just like, It's like a control freak. You're not gonna do this. It's like, so your imaginary friend is in this box? We'll keep him in this box. And then like when she grows up, she opens the box and the imaginary friend comes down. It's like, you've aged.
Why do you look so old? I'll have to watch that. That sounds funny.
It is such a good movie.
Yeah.
And it stars like the most annoying British actor I've ever met. I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And he's like a one-hit wonder type guy. I don't know. He kind of reminds me of what's his face from oh man, I can't think of it right now.
Alice Cooper?
No.
What's his name? Taco or?
No. He's a British actor who was
Taco?
No, he was in Santa Claus the movie. He was the head elf. British guy. I'm sorry. It's just escaping me. But of course, I'll get to it as soon as I stop thinking about it. But this concludes Hallmark or Bullmark, even though we got off track.
This also concludes our show.
Yes, our show should be over. And it should have been over like 5 minutes.
We banter.
But of course, you can find out more information
about Wake Up Missoula by logging on to wakeupmissoula.wix.com/wakeupmissoula. You can like us on Facebook. You can also like Wake Up Missoula on Twitter. You can
follow MCAT on our Twitter page, MCAT TV, Missoula.
Yep.
You can like us on our Facebook page. It
looks like we have a message.
That's probably for me. Anyway, you can also log on to MCAT.org to find out wonderful things, and it is our 2014 annual report of all the shows and all the stuff we've done in Missoula for producers and the city.
Yeah, so you can click on that icon and see what we have been doing over the past year in 2014.
Yep.
But thanks for tuning in with us, you guys, for Wake Up Missoula. My name is Noelle McFloy.
And I'm Scott Ramph.
And here's Asaph Adonai.
Have a good day.